Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. In this video, I will touch mainly 3 points. One, the Russian-Israeli or Russian-Jewish rift, which is coming out in the open. I would say Russian-Israeli in this case. The second one will be the freedom of the press in Israel, where we have Netanyahu's government banning Al Jazeera temporarily. And then the third one, we're going to have Biden administration giving Israel deals, allows Israel to buy $18 billion worth of weapons, airplanes, F-15s and others. So let's start with the first subject, which is the rift. The rift started in a long time ago. It was clear in 1917 in recent memory, if we looked at centuries. Then it was 1950s, beginning of 1950s, when Joseph Vissarionovich Djugashvili, so-called Stalin, man of steel, he wanted to start a little purge. And he was a Georgian leader of the Soviet Union, but he got he got a little stroke. But we don't talk about it. And then the Russians kind of took their country back. Then it was the 1991, and they lost it again. And these guys grabbed Russia by the balls again. Then in 1999, the Russian Putin got the power. He took the power. He was not given the power. He took the power, and he started dismantling these hands from the Russia's balls one by one and send them to London mainly. After that, we had a war, continuous war against Putin and Russia, and just read the mass media, watch statements coming from New York Times and other main media outlets, and Hollywood as well. And now we are in Ukraine because of the same interests. So Russia right now and Israel rift comes right in the open when the Russians call the air attack on Damascus a terrorist act. So what happened? It was an attack on the building next to the Iranian embassy in Damascus, Syria, independent sovereign country. Okay, some people say it was Israel strikes. Israel doesn't deny, doesn't confirm it, but these guys say it was the Israelis. Nevertheless, the Russians condemned the attack, in which some, I think, main general of Iran was killed, and many others. So this is the first thing. The Russians condemn it and call it a terrorist act. Let me show you a few articles. So Russia Today, I'm going to use Russian articles to show you the interpretation of that act given by Russia Today and Sputnik. I'm not going to look at Reuters. Fuck Reuters. I don't care about Reuters in this one. April 2nd, Russia Today. Israeli attack on Damascus was terrorist act, Moscow says. The head of the Russian Foreign Intelligence Service called the strike an ugly, and I'm quoting, an ugly and criminal step by Israel. Now, this is the building that was destroyed between two other buildings. How many people were over there? Do you think there were civilians in there? I don't know. Just ask. The head of the Russian Foreign Intelligence Service, Sergei Narishkin, has described Monday's airstrike on the Iranian Consulate in the Syrian capital as a terrorist attack committed by the Israeli government. This is what they say. Now, this is what Narishkin says, and I'm going to quote it. An ugly and criminal step in relation to a sovereign state of Iran and in relation to a sovereign state of Syria, on whose territory this terrorist act was committed. So, Russia's foreign ministry has also condemned the bombing of the Iranian compound in Damascus, stressing that any attacks on diplomatic missions which are protected under the Vienna Conventions on Diplomatic Relations, are unacceptable. Well, we got two sides here, and you know who they are. Let's move to the next one. 2nd of April. Top Iranian general killed in Israeli strike. These guys are not using alleged. They say Israeli strike. They don't say alleged. But that's them. I'm not saying. Right? What do we know so far? Iran has vowed retaliation against Israel for the death of Reza Zahedi at the diplomatic compound in Syria. A top Iranian general was among those killed in an apparent targeted assassination by Israel on Syrian soil on Monday. Which hit Tehran's consulate in Damascus raises the prospect of a major regional escalation. The strike, and they say here, the diplomatic compound was hit by a missile purportedly launched by an Israeli F-35 fighter jet. 35, not F-16, 35. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps confirmed that 7 of its officers were killed, including General Mohammad Reza Zahedi. So this is the one. Vows retaliation's high-profile target. Okay, these are how many hundreds of thousands of... Okay, we're going to move to the next one. Russia Today. Moscow condemns assassination of Iranian generals. Diplomatic missions cannot be targeted, Russia said after an Israeli strike on Tehran consulate in Damascus. They don't say alleged. That means these guys have the information. Or they're lying. Which one is it? Russia has rebuked Israel after an airstrike that demolished the Iranian consulate in Damascus on Monday evening. The attack reportedly killed again, Vienna Convention diplomatic. All right, next one. Russian intel chief calls Israeli strike on Iranian consulate in Syria terrorist attack. Now this is coming from Sputnik. So this is what the Russians are promoting. Never seen this condemnation so strongly done by Russia towards Israel. Remember, Israel hold off on Ukraine. Actively hold off. I don't know, after all you have after all you have Zelensky, Shmihal, Reznikov, Yermak, Victoria Nuland, Blinken. You got the other one. I always forget her name. Short-haired, white hair, 74-year-old. She's in higher in between Blinken and what is her name? I can't remember. But anyway, we have the defense minister of Great Britain. We have the prime minister of France. So we have a lot of, involvement if you want to look. You have the mass media, you have the Hollywood, you got a lot of stuff. So let's go back here. The strike on the Israeli Air Force on the territory of the Iranian embassy in Damascus is a terrorist attack, Russian Foreign Intelligence Services Director Sergei Narishkin said on Tuesday. All right, next move on. Israel's government passes law to temporarily shut down Al Jazeera. But temporarily. Israel's legislature passed a law Monday paving the way to shut down the Qatar-based Al Jazeera news network, under legislation allowing for a temporary ban of foreign news networks, plural, that the government deems a threat to national security. So whenever the government says Emil is a national security, boom, banned. All right? Israel Prime Minister I'm all for, national security, but Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu said he would, and I'm quoting, act immediately to implement the law against Al Jazeera, accusing the Qatari-funded news outlet of supporting Hamas' October 7 attack against Israel and serving as a mouthpiece for the U.S. designated terrorist organization. Okay, the law passed in Israel Knesset 71-10. Okay, let's go next one. Russia Today. Israel to ban Al Jazeera and Netanyahu. That Knesset has allowed the government to suspend the broadcast of foreign TV channels, plural, on security grounds. So they are under attack, not Gaza. The Israeli government will ban Al Jazeera, Prime Minister said Monday, labeling We got that. And now we have this one. Biden administration set to greenlight $18 billion sale of F-15 fighter jets to Israel. Okay, well, allow them. Why not? The Biden administration is close to approving the sale of as many as 50 American-made F-15 fighter jets to Israel. Are these guys getting ready for war or something? Against Hamas? In a deal expected to be worth more than $18 billion, according to 3 people familiar with the matter. Got that? So the rift between these guys is gonna become, I mean, they try to keep it a little bit under the rug, but for people like you and I, it was clear enough. Now it's right in the open. They condemn this. I'm expecting the Israeli to come and condemn Russia with the attack on this and tell us how great the Ukrainians are and Zelensky Steins and move from there. That's the first one. And the second one, Al Jazeera banned and others, national security threat. Under there, they can move on next to the people. If they deem someone saying something a national threat, they can ban you. Who? The government. Why? For the common good. For the common good. To protect us. And the third one, the Americans will provide weapons to the Jewish state to defend itself against all the fucking enemies. Okay? All right, I think it's good enough. I'm not going to say who, but these guys want Russia back. They had it by the balls in 1917-18. They lost it, almost lost it little by 1950s. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Putin is their biggest enemy at this point. Why? Because he has the potential to a lot of things. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.